Welcome to the castle, everybody. This is Nightsaber Z42, and this is part 2 of the character vault for Call to Adventure, specifically the Epic Origins expansion. In the first episode, we played a game of Call to Adventure Epic Origins, and in this episode, we're going to culminate all of the cards that we acquired and create a character based on that game. So let's grab our dice and our character sheets, and let's get to the table. Character from the Call to Adventures, you will actually need the PDF, the actual Call to Adventure 5e conversion sheet. And so once you have that PDF, it's only about 5 pages long. It'll go through each of the steps. And so there's about 6 steps to actually creating a character for 5th edition. And we've already done some of these. So you actually start by choosing, your set. So you'll actually choose if you're playing with Epic Origins or if you're shuffling any of the other expansions or sets from Call to Adventure in to the base game itself. Then you'll actually play the game, which we've already done. We'll record the story as I've already done for the YouTubes. And after that is when we actually get to creating our character. So the first thing we'll do in this part is we'll determine our ability scores. Depending on what kinds of runes we have, will actually determine our starting ability score. Then we'll go to the basics, so we'll convert our heritage, origin, and class to the 5e races, backgrounds, and classes. Very simple stuff. And then we'll flesh out our character with feats and equipment for which our character is actually eligible for, and write up notes on the backstory, kind of flesh things out even further. If you have not watched part 1, feel free to go back and watch it. A link will be down in the description below. But worry not if you want to skip it, because we are going to do a quick review right here, right now. So basically, as I've kind of laid out the board, and this probably isn't perfect, my memory is a little bit sketchy, but I do know that we have Amnesiac, so that was one of the cards that we started off with, and then we had Beast Folk, which we did choose. Now, we did go ahead and we had a Goblin Raid, and I believe we led the Town Guard to give us that extra point of Charisma and that crown symbol. And we also took the traits Intimidating and Educated. In Act 2, we had our Sorcerer card, and I believe we poisoned a rival, we became filthy rich, and we also cured a werewolf. And by Act 3, we were the Dragon Master, we had the Lore Master and Stormlord traits, and we also freed the enslaved from the Tyrant's stronghold. There we go. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So Act 1 is our life before the call. The story cards you tuck under your origin reflect your ordinary world. There are key moments that set the stage for your adventuring life. Act 2 is how you became a hero. These are events that truly represent your call to adventure. You achieve some impressive feats and begin training class skills, but you've still got a lot to learn. And Act 3 is your destiny. As a level 1 character, everything after Act 2 represents a possible future for your hero. One day you'll slay a dragon and bring down the adversary, or at least that's what a fortune teller once told you. So Act 1 and 2 become your new PC's backstory. Treat Act 3 as a prophecy or a possibility, hinting at the greatness you may someday achieve. So now we need to actually take a look at our attributes, our ability scores. And there are 6 that go along with 5th edition. We have Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. And each of the rune symbols that we've accrued over the course of the game actually match one of those symbols. Now, the really interesting thing is, if we have no symbols or no runes in that given category, our ability score is going to start at 8. Okay. And if we have one of those runes, we'll have an average score of 10. 2 would be 12, 13 would be 14, and anything 4 and above would be 16. So you're not going to have super powerful characters at level 1 to start with. It just kind of caps out at 16, which I kind of agree with. So let's take a look at our strength. Any symbol or any sword symbol that we have on our cards is going to go for our strength. And as I take a look at my cards right here, I do see that Stormlord gives us 1 sword or 1 strength. So our ability score is going to be 10, or at least to start with. Of course, our class or our race is going to adjust that accordingly. Next is dexterity, and dexterity I see that we have at least 1 as well. So that is going to be a score of 10. Constitution, we should have plenty of, or at least a few, because that kind of went with our adversary, if I remember correctly. So Amnesiac gives us 1, and Free the Enslaved gives us our second one, so our score is 12 for Constitution. Intelligence, the wand symbols, was also another one of those symbols I think that we needed to use in order to beat the adversary. Or maybe it was charisma and wands. I can't remember. Let's count our wands. We have 1, 2, 3 wands. So that is going to give us a score of 14. I don't think I went to 4 or above on any of these, but we'll see. Next, we have wisdom, our green symbol, and I do have one of those, so at least we have a 10 and not an 8, so fairly average scores all around. For charisma, those would be purple. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that would actually give us a 16 score to start with. Each of the heritages in Call to Adventure correspond to a race scattered throughout the entire Dungeons & Dragons catalog. So we had Beast Folk as our heritage in our game, which gives us access to quite a few options. With the Beast Folk, we have access to the Harengon, the Leonin, Loxodon, Minotaur, Tabaxi, or the Turtle. And we're actually going to choose the Tabaxi as our specific race. Now, if we're going with the rule changes for character creation given by Wizards of the Coast, according to the Tabaxi, and I'm using D&D Beyond for this, we get to increase one score by 2 and increase a different score by 1. Alternatively, we can increase 3 different scores by 1. But I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to increase my charisma because we are going to be a sorcerer, and sorcerers do need charisma, and it is also recommended that they have Constitution as their second highest. So my charisma is going to go up by 2, and my Constitution is going to go up by 1. So we'll at least do that right there. Of course, languages, we're going to be speaking Common, and we can figure all of that other stuff out a little bit later. Some things that we'll keep track of are things like our creature type. We are humanoid, of course. We also have a medium size. Our speed is 30 feet. We have cat's claws, and we have the cat's talent. So we have proficiency with perception and stealth, and we also have dark vision. So pretty cool stuff. In addition to that, the Tabaxi also has a trait called the feline agility. So your reflexes and agility allow you to move with a burst of speed. When you move on your turn in combat, you can double your speed until the end of the turn. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you move 0 feet on one of your turns. So very interesting trait for that. So we've marked all that down. Now we can move on to our class. Now, all of the classes are actually represented in the Player's Handbook for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And so we are the Sorcerer, and that's pretty self-explanatory. We're just going to roll with the Sorcerer class right there. So because we are a sorcerer, we do have access to spell casting as one of our traits or class traits, and we also have Sorceress Origin. So we choose the Sorceress Origin, which describes the source of your innate magical power, draconic bloodline, detailed at the end of the class description, or one from another source. And I actually think that sounds pretty fine. And so we already have our known spells. We know 4 cantrip spells and we know 2 first level spells. Our background is also pretty self-explanatory. We ended up with Amnesiac, which is actually one of the Call to Adventure backgrounds. So you will need the PDF for that if you are using any of the backgrounds from that source. So as an Amnesiac, one day you woke up without any memories. You were a complete blank slate. Maybe that was years ago. Maybe it was yesterday. But you have no recollection of your early life. You have no idea where you came from. All you know is who you are now. So as an Amnesiac, we do get some skill proficiencies. We have proficiencies in insight and perception. We also gain access to one type of an artisan's tool. We get a language of our choice, and then we have some equipment. So a set of the artisan's tool that we chose, a small knife, a trinket from your formal life that you don't understand, a set of common clothes, and a belt pouch containing 10 gold pieces. And since Amnesiac is our background, there are some other characteristics that we can get. So we have losing everything. There was some reason you lost your memory. Roll or choose on the table below, or you may allow your GM to choose secretly. You can also decide whether your character knows how they lost their memory or not. So this is going to be a D8 roll. And I will go ahead and roll these. I do like having at least a little bit of randomness in my games. And so our D8 roll, we have a 3, which is a magic spell went wrong. Maybe I cast it, maybe someone else. But losing my memory was an unintentional side effect. So there we go. We also have a feature called Echoes of the Past. Whenever you succeed on a history check, you have a 50% chance of receiving a flash of disjointed memory from your previous life at your GM's discretion. This is usually related to whatever history you just remembered. You have advantage on the next wisdom or intelligence ability check after this. Now, I tend to skip the personality traits, the ideals, the bonds, and the flaws because I like to do those myself, but the PDF for the optional backgrounds do actually have those listed. So those are D6 rolls straight across the board, and there could be some interesting things in there, but as I mentioned before, I like to kind of create those things as I play my character and flesh them out through play itself. Last but not least, we have bonus skill proficiencies. And you can get these if you have 3 or more matching story icons. So let us take a look at our board here and we'll see what we have. I know I have at least 1 matching symbol. So for this one we have 1 crown, nothing, and nothing. For my Act 2 we have spooky face, another crown, and this one was a scroll. And for Act 3, we have another crown, so that's our 3rd crown. We have another scroll, a mountain, and this one was judgment symbols. So we only have one that actually has 3 or more symbols. And so for this one, the crowns are actually persuasion or intimidation. So we actually get a skill proficiency and we get to choose. I think, oh man, that's actually a really tough one. I'm going to go with persuasion, mainly because I took a look at where our virtue was, and we are just slightly in the light side, so I think that would kind of make more sense, that we would like to persuade people to our viewpoint rather than intimidate them. So that is going to be it for the basic stuff that you can get out of looking at your cards and all of that. And so now we're going to actually flesh out our character. The cards you gain in a game of Call to Adventure can influence other story and mechanical choices you make during character creation. In most cases, these character options are just guidelines for how you could build your character. For example, a PC with the Arcane trait card might choose Arcane Initiate as their feat for being a human, but they do not gain it for free. However, if an option includes bonus in the description, you can gain it as a bonus at character creation. These are minor benefits designed to lend flavor to your character. Overlays are special new character options described in the Call to Adventure Backgrounds PDF. They can be applied to a PC of any race and level, providing supernatural characteristics while remaining balanced. So I'm taking a look at all of these different traits that we've had. And I know that I've had Dragon Disciple. I've also had Filthy Rich. I've had Lore Master. I've had Stormlord. I also have Intimidating. So we can take a look at the traits and the 5th edition character options and see what we can actually add to our character. Now for Dragon Disciple, we actually get something called Ember Soul Overlay. For Ember Soul Overlay, your body has been infused with draconic magic, strengthening and changing you. A red or gold dragon might be your ancestor, or you may have gained this power from a dragon's blessing or mysterious artifact. Fire can still harm you, and your draconic features are subtle, but the fact that you're an Ember Soul has left its mark. Every Ember Soul reveals their draconic nature in different ways. Roll on or choose from the table below to determine your dragon trait, or work with your GM to determine a new one. And this one does have a random roll, so I'm going to grab a d6 and roll. And our roll is a 5. My fingernails are more like claws than anything else, sharp and intimidating. So really cool. We have extra sharp claws because we're already a tabaxi. So depending on where you are in the world, you might be revered or scorned for your draconic characteristics, depending on how those people or groups view dragons. And I'm going to kind of go out of my way and say I think I'm going to get all of these extra traits. So we have Draconic Blood. Your muscles are strengthened by your draconic nature, but your mind is dulled. Your strength score increases by 1 and your intelligence score decreases by 1. So, okay, that does okay. It harms me just a little bit, but that's okay. We have Dragon Greed. You love gold and find it hard to think straight when in the presence of gold that isn't yours. You have disadvantage on all wisdom and charisma saving throws when you know you are within 20 feet of gold equaling 50 gold pieces or more that is not yours or a companion's. Wow, that's actually pretty bad. We have Ultimate Predator. Dragons are apex carnivores. You gain no sustenance from fruits, vegetables, and non-meats. Only meat will fill you. We also have Drake Eyes. Like dragons, you have exceptional night vision. You can see in dim light within 100 feet of you as if it were bright light, and in darkness as if it were dim light. We have Smog and Smoke. Smoke poses no obstacle for an Ember Soul. You can see and breathe in smoke as if it were clear air. And we have Molten Magic. Fire is a part of your nature. You know the Produce Flame cantrip. Filthy Rich gives us an extra 20 gold pieces. So from our 10 that we already have, or however much that was. Intimidating gives us the Intimidate skill proficiency. So that's pretty cool, I suppose. Lore Master gives us History as a skill proficiency. And Stormlord would also give us the Elemental Adept feat, if we actually had a feat to grab on our first level. But that could actually be something that we can take later on as a suggestion. Depending on which paths you have taken, you may be eligible for additional character options shown on the challenge card list. So why does this actually feel like someone is trying to sell me some insurance? So after taking a look at the list, there's only 2 challenge cards that we do have that we're sort of eligible for. The first one is Full Moon, but unfortunately, we did not become a werewolf, so we can't take that. We also have Goblin Raid, and we did take the path Lead the Town Guard, so we also get the City Watch background if we so wish. But I think I'm going to forego that for now because we already have a ton of stuff. For now, I'm going to take everything that we've accumulated over this character creation journey, and I'm going to actually put it in the character sheet. We are pretty much done here. All we got to do is flesh out our character more with things like their age, their name, general things like that. So I'm actually going to start filling out my character right here, right now. So here we have the final culmination of everything we've done in Call to Adventure and this creating this character. So I present to you Smoking Mountain, the Tabaxi male, I guess, well, level 1 sorcerer who is also an amnesiac and is also neutral good. I think that's an alignment. I actually didn't really reference the player's handbook for most of the stuff. So anyways, his strength turned out to be 11, so that gives him a +0 modifier. His dexterity is 10. Constitution is 13. Intelligence is also 13. Wisdom 10. And then charisma, a whopping 18. Okay? So that means his saving throws are going to be Constitution and Charisma, or at least those will be the ones that he has proficiency with, being a 3 and a 6, respectively. In terms of skills, he's actually got quite a lot of skills, and that kind of concerned me at first, but I did kind of follow everything down to the letter, so I guess we're just a highly skilled sorcerer. So we have Arcana, we have Deception, History, Insight, Intimidation, Perception, Persuasion, Religion, and Stealth. And we have some fairly sizable bonuses for those skills as well. In terms of feats and features and traits, we have Dark Vision, we have the Feline Agility. We also have Cat's Claws, which allows me to attack with my claws with a +2 proficiency bonus, but only a D4's worth of damage. I think that's what it is. Sorry, I didn't reference the PHB for that one either. We do have Spellcasting, and since we are a sorcerer, we do have the Draconic Bloodline, and I chose gold as my Draconic Bloodline color because of fire. Fire is good. We also have Draconic Blood, Dragon Greed, Ultimate Predator, Drake Eyes, Smog and Smoke, and Molten Magic from our Dragon Master thingy that we also got as well. So moving on to the second page, we got to answer 3 questions as our kind of to flesh out our background a little bit more. So as a youth, I showed signs of future greatness, of which I could not remember. When I answered the call to adventure, I wandered aimlessly and gathered fortune, allies, and enemies. Some believe that I am destined to overcome the Elder Dragon and take her place. As I mentioned before, I don't like to flesh out my personality, ideals, bonds, or flaws just quite yet. I like to do that during play. By the way, my Tabaxi Smoking Mountain is 29 years old. We have proficiency with cook's utensils, and we also have the equipment, small knife, wooden carving, which is our little trinket that is a nod to our past that we don't know what it is. We have some common clothes, a component pouch, 2 daggers, an explorer's pack, a staff, and our cook's utensils as well. We also have 30 gold pieces. So, hey, we got some money. And as an additional nod to how we got our amnesia, I also wrote that a spell went wrong, which led to our amnesia. We may or may not know that at the very beginning, but hey, that is something. And of course, our third page is all about magic, so our spellcasting ability is of course Charisma. Our spell save DC is 14, and our spell attack bonus is 6, which is pretty sick. We have 5 cantrips because one of the cantrips we have is one that we know from our background or something like that, which is Produce Flame, which I think they meant to say Conjure Bonfire, maybe, because I don't think Produce Flame, or at least as far as D&D Beyond is concerned, doesn't exist. We have Control Flames, Firebolt, Prestidigitation, and Light as our cantrips. Of course, if we're running a fire build, that's what we're going to have. And for our 2 level 1 spells, we have Burning Hands and Magic Missile. So that is Smoking Mountain in a nutshell right there. So I feel like we are a little bit overpowered, but I mean, that's the nature of the game now, isn't it? So, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below. Give this video a huge thumbs up to support this series and subscribe if you would like to see more. I will see you guys in the next video.